this is my bike. I got it in March of this year, so it's like pretty new to me still. And I like, I mean, I feel like I've had it forever at this point, but I haven't even had it for a year. And I bought it at Ciclo Urbano in Humboldt Park. They're absolutely the best. I think they're like, if my bike broke down in Rogers Park, like I would find a way to get over there because they've done just like everything for me. And yeah, I don't know. It's like a commuter bike. It's kind of a workhorse. I feel like I have like this basket and the rack and like panniers that I, use to haul stuff around. So definitely, this is my only bike. So I've been biking in Chicago since 2021. I moved here to like Humboldt Park, Ukrainian Village area. And I didn't have a bike. I used Divvy exclusively for like 2.5 years because the area that I was living in didn't really have great, like there was no train. The buses were like inconsistent at best. The CTA has been a little bit lousy since the pandemic. And my friend recommended hopping on a Divvy and I tried it and I was hooked and like I never looked back. And so finally this spring I was like, okay, I have to actually like get my own bike. So biking in Chicago for 3 years, owning my own bike less than a year. I mean, I use it to, run errands. Like I went and got groceries on my bike yesterday and I use it to commute. I mean, like I have a new job starting in the Loop soon. So like I'll probably be taking the train more often than not. But the thing that my bike is most important to me for, or has been, I mean, it is my primary mode of transportation in general, but the group rides and like the social aspect of it is 100% like the key point of it to me and like the highlight. So, I go on tons of group rides, like literally probably once a week I'm on some kind of group ride. There's Critical Mass tonight. I'm going to be there. So that's like a kind of a hidden thing that I didn't expect. That's been really exciting. It's the community. Like if I had known that like the way to make friends in your 20s is to buy a bike and take it places and like go to rides and stuff, then I would have bought one 5 years ago, and I've made so many amazing friends. I've gone on so many incredible rides. I like have learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about other people. I've learned so much about the city. And it's just like really a beautiful thing. Like I didn't know that there was such a rich culture around biking in Chicago, like until I started. Actually, I bought my bike on, I think it was March 26th. And I remember that because Critical Mass was like 3 days later. And everybody on Twitter was like, oh my God, you have to come to Critical Mass. It's going to be so fun. And I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. I was like, I'll show up and maybe I can do 2 miles. Like, I don't know. And I ended up riding the whole thing like the week I bought my bike. And it was like a religious experience for me. Like, I swear I went home and I was like, I am a new person. And so ever since then, I've been going to like every group ride I can find because they're so special. Like it's just like a really beautiful thing. The social aspect of it, like, on a motorcycle and in a car, I think it's too loud to be having these conversations. But like whenever I go to a group ride, like I'm biking next to somebody and we're talking the whole time. And then I'm like finding another person, like, we get lost in the crowd and I start talking to somebody else. So it really is like a very social kind of gathering. It's like a party on wheels more than like, I don't know, anything else. And I think that, it's really easy with any kind of club, like you connect over something that you love, and people in these bike clubs are like so passionate about riding bikes, not only just because it's so fun, but because it makes you feel so capable. And like I'm the strongest I've ever been in my whole life. I like am in the best shape I've ever been in my whole life, and I have the most friends I've ever had. And like all 3 of those things are connected. I mean, it's definitely the car culture. I think that, I have close calls every single day. And my dad got into a really bad accident at the beginning of the year. I mean, I don't even want to call it an accident because like it certainly wasn't his fault. But he got hit by a stolen car. These drivers who, were not of sound mind. And he broke his leg and like had to get surgery. And it was like, it's been a really long recovery process. He like is still recovering. So it's been really, hard to see. And like, I don't know, I'm not wording it especially well. But then my mom got into a bike accident later this year. Like she crashed with somebody else on a scooter. And that again, not cars' fault, but because of a lack of safe bike infrastructure, that causes these kinds of points of conflict. So I find myself spending a lot of time like feeling a lot of anger at the way that the city is designed to prioritize cars and people in cars. There's a lot of great infrastructure being built. I live in the first ward where like the alderman is really about it, and I appreciate that, and it is amazing seeing like all these new protected bike lanes. I mean, you just talked to somebody who was on the Milwaukee protected bike lane, which is the one that like I use the most. But even the protected bike lanes often have stuff blocking them or debris or, various other problems. So it's very frustrating trying to get around and constantly having to dodge these vehicles that could kill me in a split second. And my friends and I are always talking about the danger that we're feeling at all times, like it's really scary to feel like every time I leave my house, I'm kind of taking my life into my hands. The truth is that driving is a million times more dangerous than riding a bike, but pedestrian and cyclist deaths and injuries are up, a monumental amount since they hit a low in I think like 2010. So it's not safe out there right now, and that's what's really frustrating. I do. So I honestly, biking in the winter is, and again, okay, so this will be my first winter with this bike, with my own bike. So I'm sure it's going to be really different. I divvied through the winter the past few years, and honestly, it's not that bad. I almost prefer it to the summer sometimes, just because, also we had a really mild winter last year, so it really like, there was almost no time where I was like, I really don't want to be on my bike. I think that it's just about like throwing on the layers, having the right, I bike to, so Fems and Thems, oh my God, this wind is crazy. Fems and Thems had self-defense training, which, goes up with like the car issue. Like we wouldn't have to have self-defense training if we weren't constantly in danger. So that was really great. But the day that we went, it was like just completely downpouring. And I was like, well, it's a bike thing. Like I'm going to ride my bike. And by the time I got there, I was like soaked head to toe. And I was in such a bad mood. I was so grouchy. And I look around and all my friends had brought a change of clothes. And I was like, it didn't even occur to me to bring like another pair of pants. So I have to remember for this winter that it's okay to bring a change of clothes with you. I think that like just having the right equipment and making sure that, but honestly, I would prefer to be too cold than too hot because I don't like showing up places sweaty. So I think it'll be all right. We'll see. I think that there's this stereotype of like this avid cyclist, which I know that like bikers hear that term and like immediately cringe. The older guys in Lycra taking over the street. I have no problem with that type of person, but I think that a lot of people do have a problem with that type of person, and assume that every person who bikes is like that. Which, like, again, if everybody who biked was like that, I'd be fine with that. But the truth is that, like, biking is for everybody. And I think that there's this, like, anger there's a lot of anger from cyclists at people driving cars, understandably so. And then there's a lot of anger from people driving cars at cyclists. And it's really frustrating because it's like, to build a better world, we have to have better bike infrastructure and more people on bikes. And it's just, I know biking is up in Chicago 120% since 2019, which is like amazing and beautiful. And like, I want it to keep going that direction. But also like that means more people on bikes on the road means angrier drivers, unfortunately. So, I think people misunderstand that like, we're just trying to get where we're going to. And, I do definitely have a little bit of like a feeling of, well, I don't know. I guess not that, but I think that everybody should give it a try. I think that it really is for everybody. And, the freedom and the joy that I feel on my bike is unmatched. When I drove all the time, I was angry all the time. I was grouchy. I hated everybody. I hated everything. I was constantly like mad at the guy in front of me, mad at the guy behind me. And when I ride my bike, it's like, like I said, like I have some anger at drivers, but it truly is like a joyful experience. And that's what I want people to take away from it. And that's what I want people to see about biking, is that it feels really good. I think, a lot of people have come to me and said, I'm really scared of biking. I'm really scared of trying this, like, especially on the streets in Chicago. Like I said, it's dangerous. Like, I'm not going to pretend that it's like something that you have to be brave to do it. It's true. You have to have an amount of courage that not everybody has or wants to have. And I think that what I recommend to all of these people is go to a group ride. The community that I have through these rides is truly like, I feel like the luckiest person in the world. Like, it is the most beautiful thing. And they're so safe. Like, truly, like, I've only had good experiences, even at critical mass where things get a little crazy. Like, for that being my first group ride, like, that was a little bit brave. But I think that, like, if you go to like a Femmes and Thems or a Bike Socks, we won't have another one of those till the spring. Dykes on Bicycles. I know there's like Monday Night Ride. I haven't been to that, but I know that's like a big one. There are just like amazing bike groups all over the city. And you don't have to know anybody to show up. Like, I go to these rides, I've never met anybody before, and I just like, you don't even have to talk to anybody. And it's just a really great way of getting comfortable and feeling like, okay, like maybe I can do this. And then maybe you turn around and go by yourself or go with just one other friend. So I just think that like that's a really good way of getting started.
Thanks for watching that interview. Subscribe to see more conversations with Chicagoans biking around their city, dropping every other week.